Chicago, 2011. A cop is murdered. Police and prosecutors swear they have the trigger man. He swears he didn't do it. How far will each side go to prove they're right?
Like it's just one bombshell after another, where you're like, what?
The story of a PlayStation, a brain-eating amoeba, and the relentless pursuit of justice. Off Duty, out now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Give me a mountain with lots to do. Give me the sunshine, give me a dew. Give me something simple and true. All I need is sunshine and a cool, refreshing mountain dew. So give me my good friends, give me a dew.
Grab some friends and an ice-cold Mountain Dew today.
Mountain Dew.
Let's be completely honest. Are you happy with your job? The fact is, a huge number of people can't say yes to that. Too many of us are stuck in a job we've outgrown or one we never really wanted in the first place. But we stick it out and we give reasons like, what if the next move is worse? And I've put years into this place. And maybe the most common one, isn't everyone miserable at work? But there's a difference between reasons for staying and excuses for not leaving. It's time to get unstuck. It's time for strawberry.me. They match you with a certified career coach who helps you get from where you are to where you want to be, either at your existing job or by helping you find a new one. Your coach helps clarify your goals, creates a plan, and keeps you accountable along the way. Go to strawberry.me/career and get 50% off your first coaching session. That's strawberry.me/career.
Hello and welcome to the Psych Legal Pop Podcast. This is a podcast where we talk about popular culture through the lens of an attorney and a therapist. I'm Brooke Brigham, I'm the attorney.
And I'm Tess Brigham, I'm the therapist.
And today we have a very special guest to discuss episode of Sister Wives on our Sister Wives Rewind journey. We are on season 6, episode 6, Robyn's Secret. And our special guest is Dr. Adam, who is the host, the creator. He is the Sister Wives Professor, the Sister Wives Professor podcast. He is a professor of interpersonal communication. And we are so excited to have you here, especially for this particular episode, because this is a classic.
This is a very special episode.
So welcome.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. It is an episode of a television series that exists, and I've got some stuff to say.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait.
That they really thought about this and decided to put this on air.
Yes.
And then air it several times.
It was a very orchestrated, intentional episode. They were on a mission to tell Robyn's secret.
Yes.
If I were the producers of Sister Wives, I would have just played this like 11 times in a row, and that would have been the whole season.
Yeah,
just re-air it every time. It just gets better and better.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So just to set this up, basically they start out by saying, they're celebrating 2 years living in Las Vegas. I thought this was interesting. Robyn says, now we can see what damage has been done in the last 2 years, and we can try to fix it.
Huh?
Yeah, that was how that's how the episode started out.
Yes.
So they kind of talk a little bit about, they're so glad they're here and whatever, and then Cody says that having church, what they call church in the rental units was hard, but now it's easier because they're all in the cul-de-sac and they have more space and it's easier to get together. So,
well, do you think he made a comment about how he thought that they would be having this church services with people from Utah once a month. And I'm like, what were you thinking?
Why did you think that?
Did you even reach out to anyone and say, hey, come and visit us? Or did you think people are just going to show up just for Sunday and then leave? It's very bizarre.
Is that so? Dr. Adam, is he trying to telegraph something there about why they don't have a church community?
I think so. My read on it could have been one of two things. I think one, it could be this was sort of Cody Brown's magic thinking to further sort of grease the wheels for this move that I don't think a lot of the family really wanted to make.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you two have touched upon this as I've been listening to your kind of rewatches, is you really get the sense that there's more discord about the move than really made it onto the air. And so I could see it being one of those things that Cody said, oh, don't worry about church. I mean, we'll have people come up, they'll want to come to Vegas. They'll want to do that. And then because if there's one thing the Brown family seemingly does successfully, it's decide, you know what, those are problems for us in the future. And
Yes.
And future us will deal with that. And then when present day Brown family becomes future Brown family, they go, oh no, we're not.
What do we do?
The can can only be kicked so many times down the road.
Yeah. Well, I would love to hear your take on, because we've talked a lot about these houses that they're in and just how the parents tend to overpromise, underdeliver to the point where the kids don't even really trust them and can't trust them.
Right. Yeah, that's been interesting. And I mean, they flat out, to your point, Tess, that's what they flat out say is, well, they say a lot of things and typically it doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
And, you could probably explain this much better than I, but it's such an erosion of sort of the foundation of the parent-child relationship to not be able to trust that you're going to be guided safely and given realistic expectations. And that's not to say that kids, even at a young age, can't understand. Like, look, I tried my best and I can't always deliver everything. That's actually a natural part of the progression of life, right? Is disappointment. But yeah, that was really telling to hear. And I always try to, if anybody who hasn't heard my podcast, I'm known for trying to, I don't think overly, but give the big picture maybe more than the show does. And so sometimes some of that is just, sometimes teenagers are just in a bad mood and they just say stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes people on reality TV are just speaking extemporaneously and then it's treated as the totality of their existence forever, which is kind of unfair. But I do think, I think that you look at their history, right, of how often the family moved and how often I think, and I don't know if it's faith or narcissism, and I'm colloquially not diagnosing anybody, but, narcissistic thoughts of, oh, things will just work out. And when you're around someone like that, especially a parental figure, the shockwaves of it for kids in particular, one of the main things is just, I don't trust that you'll deliver this because I'm, it's a byproduct maybe of Cody's overconfidence. I don't know. I don't think I even answered your question, but that was a lot of words.
Well, it's all true. It's all.
But it is interesting when you're talking about, because I think about when they fled from Utah to Vegas, and Brooke broke down a bit of the law and what really is probably happening, which is that most likely they weren't in that big of trouble in Utah.
Right.
Like they could have stayed. That we've thought maybe had more to do with the show and the show's producers and the production. But to think about the fact that Cody sprang it on those younger kids 3 days, we're leaving in 3 days. And so if you put it in the context of the fact that they had to flee and, oh my God, okay, that makes a little more sense. But knowing what we know now, you're kind of like, what did you do? What did you do? Like, you did not have to do this in 3 days. You could have waited till the school year was out. You could have done a million different things. And I think that's what we're seeing with the present seasons. And now that everyone's wanting to go back and rewatch, because we are now seeing very clearly this is what was going on. This is what the truth was. And I agree with you that it's not fair in reality television where you say something once and then you're on a reality show and 10 years later you say something else and then people go, no, but you said this. Yes, we have the right to evolve and change and grow and develop. But the fact that Cody's basically rewriting history, like rewriting things. And that's the part that makes him, I think, so difficult to empathize with, is the fact that just tell us, like, I thought I loved my wives, but I realized I really didn't know what love was. Like, why can't you say that? I know I'm going off on a lot of tangents, but it just feels like it's this repeated pattern with the show when you watch it now of realizing, oh, I can't believe anything anybody tells me.
It's a big part of the family culture is lack of accountability. And I think that Cody, one of the many ways he found kind of his perfect match, so to say, in Robyn is, I firmly believe Robyn is most comfortable from the stance of someone who is the biggest victim in any negative situation. Because if she is an equal or greater victim, then she has nothing to feel sorry for, and therefore she absolves herself of discomfort for being responsible. You see it with the I picked the dress moment. You see it with all these things where she committed some sort of faux pas, and she will reframe it as she is the one who is the most aggrieved by the situation. Because that's that you do that mental gymnastics, and it's like, well, how could I possibly feel bad if I'm the most hurt by this situation? So I think, there's such a family culture though too, and I've said this in so many podcasts. So sorry, folks, if this is redundant, but you look at it with Mary's catfishing and the fact that Mary, and I think and not everybody, but I think a lot of people watching the show would have looked at Mary very differently if, when that came to light, she had said, like, look, Cody doesn't come over. Cody doesn't touch me. Cody, like, I'm a woman. I'm a human being. I want to feel sexy. I want to feel like someone likes me. And I got taken advantage of. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that. And like, I don't know. I would look at that and go, yeah, you did the wrong thing, but I get it, because people have been in that situation. And so it's the same thing with Cody it's just sort of this inability, because it's difficult. It's difficult to look at, especially when you have, can you, either of you imagine having that many people depending upon your decisions and making a mistake? Like, I just can't.
Impossible. It's impossible to keep everybody happy. Yeah. No, that's a really good point. That there is a real lack of accountability with all of these people. So they're all, it's a family pattern. But I also want to know what you think about, so they show the scenes with, they're in church, which is basically someone's living room. And Cody is, preaching, I guess. And so, and the kids, they always look so bored. They don't care. It's like, I don't know, to me, the whole thing about church is, you have a pastor or a priest, whatever, who's a neutral party who serves to take you out of your everyday life to try to give you a message. But if it's just your mom or dad preaching to you, it just sounds like lecturing. Like, no wonder they're bored.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't even think about that. But you're right.
How could they take that seriously? It's like mom and dad are lecturing again. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on that whole dynamic.
How familiar are the two of you with with the AUB, the Apostolic United Brethren?
Brooke is much more than I am.
You are, Brooke? Okay.
Well, all I know is from like these documentaries I've watched. I don't know a deep dive, really.
No,
I know
that's fair.
I've heard some disturbing things about. We just watched that documentary, The Daughters of the Cult, which is about, the LeBarons, with the Christine's, she's descendant of the LeBaron family and all that. So it didn't sound good.
No.
Well, I only bring it up because one of the tenets, as I understand it, and if I'm wrong, I'll be corrected, and rightfully so, is that the man in the head of the plural family is in essence the priest of the family, called the priesthood. And so one of his obligations is to lead family in prayer, to in essence run his home as a church as needed. And so that part didn't take me by too much surprise. The funny thing about the church stuff and the home worship stuff is, I say this, I'm not a person of faith. I hope I don't offend anybody. That's not my intention. I have been in the past. Maybe I will be again. Life is long and I do nothing but evolve like everyone else. But one of the things that I thought might have kept their family together is if they had fought harder to keep some semblance of their faith, or even just a non-secular gathering with some sort of spiritual, some sort of fellowship component to it. And so when I watched this, I thought, God, look at them trying. So much of this, as much as it, and we'll talk about it, as much as it just absolutely dirt roads into some stuff, it starts out with, whether it would be how I would try to keep my family together or not. Like, you know what I mean? You fast forward to the current season, or like 2-3 seasons ago, it's just like nobody cares and nobody tries. Just at all. And so it was so stark to me, the difference.
Yeah, and they've been commenting in recent episodes about how when they got to Las Vegas, and they stopped having these family nights. They'd every Friday night, they'd have these family nights. They did a lot more together as a family.
Robyn was so mad.
Oh,
that they
Robyn was
stopped
so
doing that.
upset. I mean, how many times did she go to a family Friday night thing? Twice, I mean, yeah. And it was because of Robyn, because Robyn demanded her time. If it was Friday night and it was Robyn's night, Cody, they're not going to some all family gathering,
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's true because, with a family that size, you've got to do something to keep everyone together.
Yeah.
Well,
So then,
sorry, real quick, but I always argue the problem is that it's Cody, that Cody doesn't really know how to be a leader. And
Right.
that's the problem.
Right.
Cody doesn't know how to lead. He's
No.
not a good leader at all. And I've pointed out many times where in these episodes where there's these moments in times where he could really step up and be a good leader, lead the family in a way. But that's, I think, fundamentally the problem is he's not a very good leader. And just like a boss at a company, eventually, right, just like the kids get older, eventually people are like, well, I don't really need this job anymore. I don't need you. So bye. Gotta go. And which is what's happened. Everybody who's kind of seen and gotten it went like, okay, well, see ya. I'm going to leave now.
Yeah. Cody, I think, always treated his family as he was less a boss and more of an investor. Like he was someone that just put up capital and I did my part. Now I want the residuals to roll in. Like I did my thing. And that's not the best metaphor, but that's how I always explain it.
It's true because he makes comments about how I've done this for you. Now you need to do this for me.
Oh God, is that my fault? Sorry, that's my father.
But from your work that right relationships. This is what he doesn't get. Relationships are an investment. It's an investment. Anything, right? Wherever you put your time and attention on, that's what grows. So if you don't put your time and attention on someone in your life, it's not gonna progress. And I go back and forth of, could anyone ever really do this? Could anyone ever really successfully parent 18 children and have 4 wives? Or, does it take like a super
Dr. Adam's
person?
shaking his head.
No. Not even Joe Dogger could do this. Not even Joe Dogger.
Yeah.
I don't mind saying I don't think so. I think everyone has a capacity. Everyone has a capacity and everyone has needs, especially kids, especially, anyone, I do, you both do, and that's not bad. That's not wrong. It's just a matter of, I think Cody's systemic problem beyond being overextended, which is not his fault, in that he can't create more capacity. He did plan his family, but you know what I mean? He can't just make himself have more capacity for spreading out his existence and his time, but the problem is I think Cody only wants to do the things that he finds personally gratifying. And a lot of parenting is doing stuff that you don't want to do, but it's beneficial for your child or your partnership if you have one, or partnerships if you have them. Sometimes you just shovel some dirt because it makes them happy. It's like, yeah, sure, I'm just going to do this because in the end, it's work, and work sometimes, I always object to this thing, by the way, this is a small tangent, or people say, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. Because I feel like if you do what you love, some days will really, really still feel like work, but it's work worth doing.
Yes.
Yes. It's the same thing with love. Well, if you fall in love with the right person, I'm doing finger quotes, the right person, it's always easy, which is not remotely true. It's just when the seasons turn to winter, you stick it out because you know that spring is coming and it's so rich and it's so worthwhile. And I don't think Cody, I don't know if he's not capable of it or if he just doesn't do it, and I think he found his space in Robyn that he doesn't have to. And that was, to me, the turning point.
Yeah, that's where he focused his time. Yeah, and on your Patreon, you did a deep dive into this whole Cody Robyn dynamic. It's really, really interesting, and anyone out there who's interested should listen to it. It was really good.
Thank you.
Well, could I ask you really quickly, because I would love to know your take on Robyn. And I would love to hear that because I go back and forth on Robyn.
A whole Patreon.
Oh, okay, fine. I'll just do that then. I'm sorry. Because I go back and forth on Robyn constantly. I'm always like, I don't think she's diabolical because I don't think she's that smart. But at the same time, I'm kind of like, how much of this bullshit does she believe? Like, I kind of go back and forth of like, is she this diabolical or is she just kind of effed up, like just some of the childhood stuff, and that she kind of stays in this weird place. Like she has some sort of personality disorder light kind of thing. And you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, God. How much time do you have? So,
I'm sorry. We're never going to get through this.
I'm telling you, he did a whole hour.
Okay. I'm sorry, everybody.
No, it's okay. To Brooke's point, I dropped almost an hour long, and it's part 1 of like 6 that I'm going to do.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, my gosh. Okay.
We've only scratched the surface.
Oh, okay. Well, I will then I got to get on there and do that.
But that's about, like, for anyone listening who might be curious, it's about like her evolution. So as I go through the seasons, Robyn changes and her role in the family sort of grows and changes. And I kind of want to track it semi in real time to try to use communication theory. And if that sounds boring, it's actually not. It's just ways to illustrate things. Robyn, let me preface this by saying Robyn is like you and the 3 of us on this podcast and everyone listening to it. Robyn carries around a lot of pain that she didn't deserve and that she didn't ask for, and was a victim of certain circumstances that were formative for her, just like all of us, just like everyone listening to this. However, just like all of us, she has the obligation to do the work and move past it as an adult and heal herself with whatever help is available to her, which with her financial means would be substantially more than most people. So that's my preface. I think that Robyn was like the biggest fan of the idea of the Brown family, and like a lot of fans that get disappointed by what they had invested time in, they can turn on it pretty harshly. And I think that when the Brown family, whether it's because she saw the red flags and ignored them or whatever, we can debate that. When it proved to be more fractured, more difficult, less welcoming, more complicated than she wanted, I think that was a big issue. I think that Robyn, like I said, feels most comfortable when I hate to say when she's the victim, but when she is being misunderstood. She did the thing. Well, Robyn, you're the Brown family scapegoat.
Yeah.
And I think that was really telling, because it's not just, well, that's how they treat me. I think that's her safe space because 1, it absolves her of responsibility. 2, Cody wants to be the white knight on a horse saving somebody who wants to be the damsel in distress, because then he feels empowered and he feels chosen and he feels important. People have asked me, why do you think that Cody dotes on Robyn's children that are not his biological children so much? And to be fair, you can, just because they're not your biological children doesn't mean they aren't your children. But I think a lot of it for Cody is that those kids chose him over someone else.
Right.
Interesting.
And I think to Cody that is very appealing. Yeah. And you see that godforsaken picture where they drew him in with.
That's disturbing.
That was so disturbing.
But also,
I love it. I don't give a crap. I would print, if they sell prints of that thing, I would frame it and hang it up at work. I don't give a shit. I don't care. I'm obsessed with it because it can't be real.
Yeah.
Robyn strong-armed them into that, though. Remember from like the very first season when she was saying, call him, that's not Cody, that's Dad, Daddy. Yeah. And you know, the parental alienation from the biological, I mean, yeah. Sure. So there's so much there. I don't know how many parts to her you're going to be able to, I mean, you could probably do a 10-part series. Well, but so
Okay,
Yeah,
we can get back to it. But of all the people, if you look at the history, and I love this idea of like this evolution of Robyn, you would see that she really, like, she's physically changed the most. And it's almost like, right? Like she's like, it's almost like the Browns kind of, or Cody, or this whole situation just sucked the life from her. Like she became paler and frown, like she never smiles. It's such heaviness. There was a lot more of a lightness at the beginning. And I feel myself that as I've gotten older, because I've gotten, I give less fucks. I feel more secure in myself. I feel much lighter as I get older.
Good for you.
So I feel more like, whatever. Yeah. It'll work itself out. It's like, not everyone's going to like me. Not everything's going to be great. Sometimes I can understand that a lot more. And I see her and I'm like, there's such heaviness to her of what, and just the fact that she never smiles now, that's really tough to watch. I take no offense. Let me be clear. I take no offense to it. I'm not going to comment on, a woman's physical appearance. That's not what I do. But you understand the energy that I'm talking about, not the physical part. Yeah.
Of course. I just like to throw that out there just because I'm like I said, a man with like a 95% female audience. There's just certain things that I have parameters on. But I will say that to Robyn, the thing that I try to keep in mind is she has thousands, at least, of people daily making a major part of their day going online into thousands of other people saying horrible things about her. Now, does she deserve those things or not? Whatever is really not the point. If I get like less than a 4-star review on my podcast, I need to take a nap for like 6 hours. Like I could not stand up to it. I couldn't handle it. I could not handle it. And is she a good person or is she a bad person? Again, that's not my point. My point is, how do you deal with that stress of going out in public and like, and being recognized and having that moment of, is this going to be good or is this going to be bad? Like, because odds are for her, I'm sure anyone on the show has had situations that were unsafe and unfair, but you look at Christine, how much more likely is Christine to be received like rapturously going to Publix or something, you know what I mean? Whereas Robyn, and so they talk about the big house they bought and whether or not maybe she's got an unhealthy relationship with shopping and material things. And I look at that and, I'm a communication specialist. I'm not a psychiatrist, but I think because that's what her world has become, is probably that house.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I don't have the most sympathy, but I can academically, no pun intended, look at it and go, what is that like? Because you think about like the most extreme cases, like Taylor Swift is probably the most famous person on the planet, right? Taylor Swift could live to be 150 years old. She will never have a remotely normal life. She will never have a remotely normal existence. Now you dial that way, 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 way down to Robyn Brown. There's still like Robyn Brown's never going to have like, I can just like me, I can go outside. Nobody will ever know who I am. No one will care. And I do have people that pay attention to my art, but that's it. And so I do have sympathy for anyone that's become kind of a pariah on a television show, and beyond people that are, committing crimes and harming people. And I don't know. I guess I just have more sympathy. People tell me all the time I'm virtue signaling. I am not virtue signaling. I don't need to signal. I'm just naturally virtuous.
No, this is something you have to keep in mind. Like these are real people. And I feel sorry for Robyn. I like this past season when, she was so distressed having to watch those clips of the season with Cody, and Cody is just still so angry at that point, and having to live with that on a daily basis. Awful. I mean, awful. I feel for her. Look, she did not set out or intend for this to go this way. Like you said, I think she was the most bought into the dream of Sister Wives and this family, because I think she felt so, I don't know, rejected, disappointed, shameful, whatever, about how her life had played out to that point. And she saw this family as this, oh my gosh, this is my oasis in the desert, and these people want me, and I'm going to go into this family and it's going to be so great. And she really believed all that.
And I'm
And
going to
the
be
way
famous.
Yeah. And she's going to be on TV and then it's not her fault that Cody just dropped everything with his other wives because he wanted to be with her all the time. And, she was trying to be a good wife and she became this safe space for him. And, whether she did that intentionally or not, she was just trying to please him. And it's not her fault that he mistreated everybody else.
Yeah. I got an email from a listener actually who credentialed themselves and they asked not to be identified beyond being a listener. So obviously I won't do that, but who has been in contact with someone who is in contact with Robyn. And again, I did my due diligence on this. I don't want to mislead anybody, but it was credible. And I could pull up the email, but in essence, it just said that Robyn doesn't understand why, or didn't understand why the other 3 wives didn't just do what she did. It was just like, well, why don't you just make your home the safest, happiest space for Cody? Why don't you make yourself joyfully available? Which that gives me hives just saying that phrase. But why don't you just do this? And I think it's a combination of different personalities and also just 20 years of marriage and being sad that this is how we do
They had
things.
patterns already. Yeah.
And I don't think Cody wanted that. I think Cody, until he married Robyn, I think Cody liked having these like strong-willed women to like spar with. I think he liked it. I think I think that was what he thought he signed up for. And then, he's in Pleasantville and he opens the door and like instead of black and white, everything's in color. And he goes like, oh my God, this is, I can't fully go back. And I think she liked that. I don't think Robyn wanted to be the only wife, to your point, Tess. I don't think she went and go, I'm going to ruin this. I think subconsciously she did want to be first among equals.
That's interesting. Yeah. Because I do think that she wanted herself. That's why I'm saying I don't think she's diabolical in the sense that she like had this plan from the beginning to get to this place that where she is today. I think that but I think she definitely had an idea of how I should be as a wife and what I need to do. And that kind of combination and the combination of things. And yeah, absolutely. I've been married 20 years. It's very different than the first year of marriage, for better or for worse, right? There's good things and bad things about it. But yeah. Anyway, Brooke, we can go right back into where we were talking about, because we were leading into this whole thing with Robyn and her past and being unhappy.
Let's get into it. Okay, this is the heart of this episode.
Yes.
So the premise is
brimming with excitement.
Nervous. Okay, the premise of this is that Cody asked Robyn to come to church to talk about chastity and sexual purity.
Yeah.
Because he's concerned mostly about the kids who are of dating age. And then Robyn says, I'm going to talk about one of the biggest mistakes of my life, and I'm nervous about it.
Already
all that opens up a Pandora's box. So why do you think, assuming this is true, if this was Cody's idea, why do you think he asked her to do this? I mean, what the hell?
Are you asking me?
Yeah. Because we're perplexed.
we don't know.
Oh, well, when I did this, here was my thought process. When I asked my wife, will you sit down in front of our son and talk about how, creating him was the biggest mistake of your life?
Oh, God.
You wanna just run that down? Tess, can I ask you real quick?
Yeah.
The answer is probably not good, but come on, that can't be something that was lost on Robyn's kids, like the subtext.
No. Well, they kept showing picture. They just kept showing Dayton. And then at the end, she does say, well, Dayton's the best thing. I'm so happy for Dayton.
And I don't regret anything.
And I don't regret anything. So I'm like, but then what are you saying? What are you saying? I feel like, I don't know. See, this is hard because I don't think the producers came up with this idea. I think they needed some subjects for church. And I think that maybe he and Robyn were talking late night in bed one night. And I think this topic came up and he probably said, well, listen, let's talk about this and let's do this. I don't think that either one of them thought through. And that's why I don't know if the producers were like, oh, they're willing to do this. Great. And just like, shh, don't tell them. But I don't think either of them thought through the what they were really saying, because what you're saying is the worst mistake of your life was produced this child.
And she went on and had 2 more children
with this awful person.
This awful person
who you're claiming begged you.
And took her purity, which makes it sound like it's not consensual.
Yes.
Yep.
I don't know what, I mean, I don't know where to go. I don't know. It also felt like Robyn was on trial. Like she had to.
It did feel like
redeem herself or justify
witch
herself.
trials or something.
Yeah.
Didn't it have that feeling?
Yeah.
Holy crap. To your point too, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think there had been at least a handful of bedtime conversations where Robyn was crying and telling Cody, oh, I wish I had saved my purity for you. And God, how much would he love that?
Oh,
and
he would love that. Yeah.
Oh, I wish my kids were biologically yours, and just fueling his big dumb head. And I bet she volunteered and was like, yeah, I'll talk about this. And I always say that Robyn is not always, but she develops. So nonverbal communication is kind of my thing. Robyn has a specific cadence and a certain, not woodenness, but awkwardness to when she is preparing and delivering lines that, at least in her head, she has rehearsed. This is my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I recently covered this when they're doing the move, and she's going, yeah, I don't know what we're going to do. It's real stressful. And she pauses and she goes, this is not the America that I learned about when I was in school.
Yeah.
And it just was completely different tone, completely different inflection, and felt rehearsed. And I think this was something she came up with. And you see it when they do the panel where they're arguing for their way of life. And she goes like, don't make me a victim, sweetie. And it's not even tangentially related to what anyone just said. I think she does this. And so I think that she had prepared all this, and I just didn't think it through. And I think my point about I lost my train of thought, but I got it back. Robyn is typically acting for an audience of one. And I think we know who that one person is. And I think that's what this was. I think this was designed to foster, I hate to say it, loyalty, to show her loyalty to Cody, because that Cody's currency, it's not time, it's not sex, it's loyalty. It's making him feel that you will choose him above others and put him above others, I think. And I think that comes from his own childhood of being among so many kids, of not getting that much attention from his dad. But I'm going to do a deep dive on that on Patreon later, so I'm not going to go.
Oh, yeah. I like that. Yeah, the Win, Cody, toxic masculinity, whatever subject. I think that's fascinating. But why do you think this is coming up? They've been together, 3 years or something. Like, why is this coming up now? It seems like if she had such strong feelings about the fact that she didn't give her purity to Cody, why is this just coming up now?
I have a thought. I feel like it's because we've seen so much around it's almost right. We hear about Robyn's ex and how much they've disparaged him and how he's become this evil presence in all of this. And the fact that they've been trying to erase Jessup forever. And it feels like this is an evolution of that erasing. Like, let's almost like in Back to the Future, where you start erasing and racing. It's like,
and then we got the picture, and then the adoption.
Almost like I'm gonna do this again. I'm gonna do this I want to do this over again. I want to do this again, and this is how I want it to be with the picture and all of that. But what she's forgetting, and I think that's really almost, I feel, I don't want to say sad so much, but it's like, but Robyn, this is your life. These are your experiences. This is who you are. So really what I hear is, I don't like who I am. I don't like these, because we all have choices in the past that we've made that we've been like, oh, geez, I should have done it this way. I should have done it that way. But we have to look at those experiences and go, well, I am here now. So that's how I got here.
Yeah.
and I like who I am. So, but so to me, that feels like that's someone who's saying, I don't really like myself and I need to change. I don't know.
She's trying to reclaim her virginity or something. Like, what, you're 30 something years old, and you've
had 4 kids.
You've had 4 kids. Like, honey, it's okay. Like this feels so shame based.
Yes.
And I don't know who is shaming her. Is the shame just from internal shame? Is it from Cody? I mean, I don't know.
Well, their culture is not very forgiving of what the culture perceives as mistakes in morality. Again, to my point, though, the entire purity talk, you can see how at no point is Robyn have the locus of control in any of those things that happened to her. Mm-hmm. It was never, it was just, he begged me and it was a mistake. It was all this. I don't want to get into it.
She's a victim.
I don't want to get into the subtext of what she's kind of saying because I'm not going to touch it. But if my answer to build on your question of why is this happening, I think McKelty.
What?
Oh, because of the dressing, the way in which she dresses,
and concerns about it. And Robyn, especially at that time, had a close relationship with McKelty, and I think that there were concerns about McKelty's kind of boy craziness that come more to the forefront later. I think it was just trying to address that because I think that McKelty, and I did not know this at the time, and it's only recently through like McKelty's Patreon stuff that I've been made aware of, that she expressed just how close she was to Robyn, because Robyn would really accept McKelty. And I could talk about McKelty all day because I see a lot of myself in her as a teenager, and a lot of the ways that I tried to assert my own identity in a space that, in ways that I would not with the maturity I had even a couple years later, shall we say. Mm-hmm. But that would be my guess is just, how do you control young people's behavior, particularly young women's behavior in terms of their expression of their physicality and their sexuality? Shame and fear are very common approaches to that, religiously and socially and otherwise. And so if I were to hazard a guess, it would have been, and there's no one particular reason, right, to be fair, because I think everything you said is correct. But I think part of it is Robyn kind of did a pathos plea, a big emotional plea of basically don't have sex, frankly.
Because bad things will happen.
Well, she said it right out. She said something to the effect of, you should save your purity for your husband or wife, and if you don't, it's going to ruin your life.
Break that ornament. Just throw it on the ground.
Yeah.
Why? What was that about with the ground? Like throwing it on the ground? And
I love props.
He just took it and he broke it. Is it?
Yes, and it was like a heart, and it was looked like a like an
ornament,
like a necklace thing, but it's too big to be a necklace. Yeah, it was very. I was wondering, like, how long did she search for the right prop for this? Do you know what I mean?
Like Brooke, you're lucky she didn't just like bring out like a flaming garbage can and throw a white dress in it like it was a pro wrestling promo in the 1990s. This is my purity, brother.
Yeah, you took it from me.
And at WrestleMania. Your audience is going to love these references.
Yes. Psych Legal Pop will be back after these messages.
Chicago, 2011. A cop is murdered. Police and prosecutors swear they have the trigger man. He swears he didn't do it. How far will each side go to prove they're right?
Like it's just one bombshell after another, where you're like, what?
The story of a PlayStation, a brain-eating amoeba, and the relentless pursuit of justice. Off Duty, out now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Let's be completely honest. Are you happy with your job? The fact is, a huge number of people can't say yes to that. Too many of us are stuck in a job we've outgrown or one we never really wanted in the first place. But we stick it out and we give reasons like, what if the next move is worse? And I've put years into this place. And maybe the most common one, isn't everyone miserable at work? But there's a difference between reasons for staying and excuses for not leaving. It's time to get unstuck. It's time for strawberry.me. They match you with a certified career coach who helps you get from where you are to where you want to be, either at your existing job or by helping you find a new one. Your coach helps clarify your goals, creates a plan, and keeps you accountable along the way. Go to strawberry.me/career and get 50% off your first coaching session. That's strawberry.me/career.
Oh, and it was so creepy when she's on the couch with Cody,
talking about it,
giving her whole story about how she was, manipulated into this and how, and he's just staring at her, just staring at her.
He does stare at her very intently.
Yeah.
Very intently. And
he does it on the couch too, in the couch interviews.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. In the couch, particularly, he's got his arm kind of around her and he's literally just the whole time, just like staring intently, not moving, like, good girl. Okay, good girl. Keep going. Yeah. Tell him how, tell him how much, he do this or whatever.
No, it's true. But yeah, you wanted to do me, didn't you?
Yeah, and then he
was so gibbered up by the end of that purity talk. Cody's like, you were gonna. By the end of that purity talk, he's like, you're gonna be a dirty girl later.
Yeah, you're not pure anymore. Not since you found me.
She broke an ornament in a bed frame. It's terrible.
But then she picked up the ornament, and then she gave it to Cody.
What the fuck? Sorry.
And that was so
erased everything. Yes, we've erased everything. I got my purity back. I went to confession. I've confessed everything. Here it is. It's like it never happened.
Handed it back to the priesthood, though. To my point.
Yeah. Yeah, that was so uncomfortable. I had to look away. I had to look away from my screen. I was so uncomfortable about that. And again, Dayton is right there. He is right there.
Aurora, they kept panning to Aurora, and she had this look on her face where she was very confused. She's like, what? And I'm sure that, I don't know, do you think the little kids even knew did they know what purity means? Did they know what this was about?
Probably not.
No.
I don't think so, because they're so sheltered.
Right.
To begin with, and then you're talking, who uses the word purity?
Yeah.
Probably never.
You know the answer to that question.
Well, yeah. They probably never heard this word in their lives.
Yeah.
It's like so. No, I can't. Okay, no, I can't go.
It's okay. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Go wherever you want to go.
A grown woman that's not comfortable using the word vagina. Let's put it that way. Like that, that's what I thought. Is someone that's been, to her credit, someone that's not been empowered to feel empowered about oneself or feel that there's nothing dirty or wrong or, about you. And I do, if Robyn has been made to feel that way, like that sucks. Like that just sucks.
Oh, trust me. Look, and this isn't some polygamy thing. I know. Right. I remember when I was growing up, if you even kissed a guy, girls would start saying you're a whore and spreading rumors about you and saying that you F to this guy or whatever. People are vicious.
Yeah.
People are just vicious. So it's not hard to feel shame as a woman under any circumstances.
Well, she does say in the interview with Cody, she says that at the time she was, she was rebelling against her family and she had moved to Montana and she was dating someone. And she does admit that she had feelings. Like, I had my own urges. I don't know if she was
horny.
Yeah. But she didn't say that. And that's the thing. But then it was almost like, and I was like, okay, good. Robyn is. Yeah. First time I watched this, I was like, oh, okay. So she's recognizing the fact that I have feelings too. It's not just this guy. I have feelings too. I want to explore these things too. But then it becomes this like, no, but then he took this thing.
Because she got pregnant. If she hadn't gotten pregnant and she could just go explore her sexuality like a normal young woman, then we wouldn't be here talking about this. But the fact was she was from a religious family and she got pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's the ultimate shame. And then they did get married, but it didn't work out. And then she got divorced. So there's another mark against her. And I think she came into this family feeling very, like there was a scarlet letter on her or something.
Well, and Cody made her feel that way because he said very early on, oh, I heard she was divorced and I had an ick. He said that. He always said that he thought it was kind of like, ooh, she's divorced. That was one of the things he said very clear. Again, Janelle's divorced too. So, but that was one of the things that turned him off. So she's already feeling, okay, I'm not, there's something inherently ick about me.
Right. Right.
So.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else.
Where else are we in the purity?
The purity speech. I mean, it just went on for so long, and it's going back and forth between her giving the speech and then her on the couch with Cody. And it just goes on and on and on. Like, she is really pleading her case. Like I said, like she's on trial. And it's like, it's okay. This isn't necessary. And to do it in front of the whole family, it was just so cringy.
And then what do you say to her? Like, your Hunter, like, hey, Robyn, it's so weird. Like when you see her later at dinner, like, ugh, I know way too much about you now.
Because afterwards, they just like have lunch and actually,
but that's Cody's like, hey, are we potlucking? Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah. Well, Hunter did say they interviewed a couple of the kids, and that McKelty was one of them. And she said that, she said that she liked Robyn's speech.
Yeah, she was moved by it.
Yes, she liked the way that she explained that, and and then Hunter said, yeah, you probably shouldn't have sex before marriage, but if you're in a loving, committed relationship, it's okay. And it's like, well, you just negated like the whole concept of,
Hunter's such a mensch. I
love Hunter.
He's just like this little tiny Brock Lesnar with a really good heart.
Yeah.
Who's Brock Lesnar?
Let me ask you, Tess, I have a question.
He's a football player, right?
Sure. Yeah, fine. Gosh. Okay. So let me ask you, if somebody sat you down, Tess, and said, so I want to have this conversation with my kids, what are like the big beats you would say? Like, here's how you might want to approach it in a way that your children will understand. Like, if you're got divorced, remarried, and you want to have a talk about like that journey, if Robyn, not Robyn, but somebody who would listen to you came to you and said, like, how would you start to approach that? What do you think you would recommend in order to keep that a safe space for the young people to like, because you can have one bad day, right, with your kids and go like, God, just one more day without kids or whatever, anything like that, that can last a child. That can impact a child either not at all or forever. You just don't know, right? It depends on the kid, depends on the day. Yeah. So is there a way that she could have approached this that you think might have been like safer?
I mean, if this was a client of mine and they told me they wanted to do this, my first question would be like, why? Why do you want to do this? Like, what is the idea of it? Right. There's this idea, especially with kids and drugs. Like when kids come to you and start asking you questions about drugs, you're not supposed to go, well, yeah, I tried Coke one time and then meth. And then, you're not supposed to like list the things you did. You're supposed to stop and go, well, why are you asking me these questions? Like, because there's something going on in their life that they're asking you this. Yeah. And so I would say right up front, I would want to know why. Like, what's your intention? What's the intention of why you want to express this? And if their intention is, well, I'm worried. I see my child out and about, and what are you really worried about? I'm worried they're going to get pregnant. Again, get them on birth control. I mean, okay. But if you don't believe in birth control and you don't believe in sex before marriage, then I would definitely say it should have just been for the older kids, number one. Okay. And I really would have said, if you were worried about McKelty, I don't know, I wouldn't have wanted to isolate McKelty per se, but if she and Robyn have a good, close relationship, then maybe it's a matter of having a conversation with Christine, because Christine is her mother, right? So having a conversation with Christine, I don't think I would ever recommend someone do something like this. It's not about you. This is the thing. It's like parenting is not about you. It's about your kid.
Yeah, this whole speech was all about Robyn.
And what she felt like was a quote unquote mistake, the mistake that's sitting right there in the living room.
It was absolving herself of responsibility for something that had been bothering her, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. To your point, from like a family communication standpoint, if somebody asked me like, how do I approach, the sex talk and the be safe or the abstinence talk? Yeah, I would say, well, if there's a child you're particularly concerned about, or even if not, like you might want to, I would say, like, do an activity. Don't make it the focus of the conversation. Bring it up by saying, I'm really proud of you. I'm really impressed with you. I really believe in you, but I want to kind of just talk to you about my experience and see how you feel about this. And maybe this resonates with you. And just don't make it about, I want to tell you what to do. Because I think Robyn could have taken any one of those teenagers aside and go like, can I tell you like a story? This is going to be a little awkward, but I kind of want to explain like some mixed feelings I have and just some weird things. And because I just want you to know this can be how things go, but it doesn't have to be. You know, there are ways to hedge things and make it about like telling a story. Because I don't have a problem with Robyn necessarily making it about her, because storytelling is important. Creating your narrative and illustrating with your narrative communicatively, because that's my thing, can be really fruitful. It's just at the same time, if you're trying to guide, especially a teenager, to the right place, you want to be at the same time building them up as like, I trust your ability to make decisions. I know you will make good decisions. I'm just trying to give you more context that I have that you don't yet, that will help you to make those, especially if you don't think they're going to make good decisions, because you don't want to tell them that. You know what I mean?
That's going to push them away.
Yeah.
Right. And I say this having no child over 6. So what the hell?
Well, yeah. I mean, having raised a daughter who's now 20, you start you don't just have one talk.
Yeah.
You start talking about this stuff when they're very young, and you do it in an age appropriate way. And it's over a course of years.
Yes.
You know, and then you get to a point where it's like, okay, yeah, I think they're probably going to start having sex. And then it's easy because it's like, let's just go to the doctor, you know, and it's like, you've already talked about it all. You show you trust them. You know, whether they have sex or not, at least they'll be protected, and you trust them, and you build that trust up over a period of years.
Yeah.
And, you know, so this thing, it's not just one talk. It's not just like,
no, it's so true.
Yeah.
Like I joked, but like my sons are quite young, but I'm already not about sexual relationships, but I'm laying groundwork about consent with them all the time, about you don't touch people without permission. You don't, no one owes you access to their body, because these things, I don't mind telling you too, these are really important things for young men to understand as early on as possible.
Absolutely.
And it's funny that you say that. And of course, you know, there are different gender dynamics and societal dynamics with sex, obviously. And so these conversations can take place in different ways, depending upon your child and who they are. But I want to tell you a quick side story. So I got the talk once, and it was from my older brother, who's 3.5 years older than me. And he sat me down, pulled me into his room, and said, Adam, sit down, God damn it. He goes, okay. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, so, so you got to use a condom. You got to use a condom every time. No, it doesn't feel as good. I don't care. Do it anyway. You're too stupid to have a kid. If a girl doesn't want to do something, you don't do it. If you think she doesn't want to do it, you don't do it. If you're not sure, you ask. And if you don't get an absolutely certain answer, you still don't do it. I don't care if you're right about to do whatever. If she changes her mind, you stop what you're doing. You shake her hand. You say, thank you for your time. And you leave her alone. And he said, now, God damn it, get out of my room. And that was my talk. That was the talk I had.
So what would you prefer, this one or the purity talk? What would you pick?
That talk worked.
I was going to say, I think there's some really good information. He's right. I mean, everything he said was true.
Yeah, it was true.
He nailed it.
Delivery is not great, but okay, yeah.
Quick, to the point, and very scary. But you know, that's being like, you know, 19 and going, okay, Dad's not around. Somebody's got to tell this moron like what. And the fact that my brother thought me at 16 was going to go anywhere near a girl is really kind of him. That was no, he was about 10 years early, but that's fine.
Well, yeah, I don't remember ever getting a sex talk of any kind, honestly.
I did. I feel like I got a lot from Mom. We did an episode about our childhood, and we have the same parents, but we grew up in different households. And so my mom was our mom was around me. I was around her all the time, and I think she was constantly like telling me things. And then she would have this joke of like, is there anything you need to know?
Constantly giving you the sex talk. Like,
kind of like Mom? Always talking about things and always like everything's out there. But she would always say, do you have any questions about drugs? And I'm like, no. And she's like, well, do you have any? Do you have any? She's like, oh, I'm just kidding. Kind of. Ha ha ha. But But you brought up a really good point. And if there's parents listening to this, this is really good. The activity that you mentioned, because this is one thing with teenagers. I think that the venue was hard because if this was my client, I would suggest, I don't think you should do it all staring at each other. Like, I've worked with younger, I don't work right now with them, but when I worked with teens, a lot of times you would find activities where the two of you were staring at like something together next to each other. That's why kids reveal a lot in the car.
In the car.
That's why they talk, because you're not looking at each other.
Contact,
and it's far more comfortable for people to kind of talk about these things.
Yeah,
and
a two-player video game, too, can actually work really well.
Yeah.
For that kind of thing. If you're both engaged in the same game at the same time.
So that's my suggestion, is to bring it up that way. But you got to make it about the kid and not the kid. And then if a story that you have in your life is appropriate for the for this, then bring that in. But that's the thing. The Browns never think these things through about like, is this an appropriate story for everyone to hear? Is this the right venue? Is this? It's like, it's almost like Cody he's like, I got to fill a slot. So you're Robyn, we've got you scheduled for the fourth Tuesday or the Saturday, Sunday.
You're going to do your purity talk just like we rehearsed it.
Then Christine's going to go back to the mission statement. And then the week after that is Janelle talking to us about taxes. I don't know.
The godforsaken family mission statement. Like,
oh, yes. Yeah, that mission statement is part of this general time period too. Yeah.
You both should use that quote and just call your sister wives recaps. The Browns didn't think this thing through. That should just be the title.
Well, we should start having merch, and that would be the perfect one. The Browns did not think this through.
I can help with that. I know.
All right. Sounds good.
Oh, well, this has been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And,
but are we going to cover the rest of the episode or no?
Well, okay.
What else happened? Because nothing much happens, but I do want to talk about
the time capsule.
The time capsule. The time capsule.
They decide. They decide to do a time capsule. They're going to be buried for 5 years, and they tell all the kids to go get something from your room. Something that to put in the time capsule. And Christine says, God, I wish the mission statement was done so we could put a copy in there.
God. But this is what I thought was so wacky about this is, that this is Robyn's idea, and Cody made everybody, okay, Robyn wants to do this time capsule. So everybody has to and this is the stuff Christine was talking about, right? This is the stuff that was like, that was slowly chipping away at the other, especially at Christine, was she wants to do something and he's all on board. And I want to do something, and it's like pulling teeth.
Sorry.
And but I just thought it was so funny that they make this big thing about, we're in this houses and these are going to be our homes forever. And you're like,
I have a note about that. I have notes. I have it in my notes. I said the Brown. Sorry, I got to get through this. The Brown family time capsule. Just like everything else about their homes, this will never be paid off.
No.
Yep.
No.
This is why I do this for a living now. I don't. I love the mission statement, though, because every now and again they'll cut to like Robyn or Christine crying about like how important this mission mission statement is, and every once in a while the editors will just smash cut to like Garrison going like, "This mission statement is such bullshit."
Yes. Well, Leon says in this episode, I think. I think they were referring to actually the time capsule, but they said, I think this is stupid. We're not a business, we're a family. Which could also apply to the mission statement. Either one, no.
I just feel for Christine. I see her and I just feel like, oh God, she thinks this mission, she is so desperate to find something that will be the solution to how she's feeling.
Marriage. Yeah.
To her terrible marriage, to everything that's been going on, to the fact that she feels jealous. Like that woman, like the new homes. No, it's not the new homes. The mission statement, the commitment ceremony. And then what's the next thing? Until she finally just gives up and becomes numb.
Yeah. It's always external solutions to internal problems.
Yes. Great way of saying it. Yeah.
Yeah. So Cody, when he's outside digging this hole, and he finds himself by himself. Literally, figuratively, as he always does. He's digging by himself, and he makes this comment, and he makes these comments a lot. And, they're cringy. He says, he's looking around. He's like, I don't have any sons. They're all dead to me. You know,
God, he loves to complain about having to do big boy tasks all on his own, shoveling snow, hanging lights. He just gets so butthurt about having to do something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Something he doesn't want to do. He does not like doing things that he does not like to do.
He's always yelling like, "Where's my help? Where are the boys?" It's really weird. It's like my favorite is in season 2 where he's shoveling snow on Robyn's world's smallest driveway, and he just cannot. He's like, "Where are the boys? The boys are supposed to be helping me." I'm like, "Bro, I could have had that done in 5.5 minutes, and I can't get off the couch without getting tired. Like it's not that hard."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not that they're probably, doing their homework or, something.
Yeah.
Well, was that the wedding? Was that Chris? No, that wasn't.
No,
the
they were having a party at Robyn's house for some.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Their non-polygamous
DLC made them throw.
Yeah.
Yes.
Their non-polygamous friend party or something.
Yes, that's right.
Like,
that's
have
right.
friends over or something. I don't know. We got nothing. They're like, Mary's got to get a colonoscopy. We can't just do that. Throw a party.
Let's just throw that in there. Yeah. And
Oh, yeah. And there's more to this time capsule because they're like, we got to combine another storyline with the time capsule. Come on over, Mary.
Yeah, Mary,
Yeah.
we got to talk about this fertility thing again, this baby thing. He's like, I need baby answers. And
I hate this so much.
She says, you need to be involved in the conversation. We both need to decide. Because again, Cody's putting it on her because he doesn't want to be the bad guy or labeled as, oh, well, you didn't want to have another baby with me. And he says, well, because, they promised each other that they would revisit this when they moved into the houses. And he says, well, we're halfway into the month. We've been here for half a month. We got to decide. And he says, I have thoughts in my head that need adjusting. Whatever that means.
I don't know much about women. I do know women love when their male partners, if they have them, say, I need you to immediately decide if we're going to have a baby right now.
Yeah,
like that
it's thrilling.
Yeah. Well, do you have thoughts on this whole Mary baby? I mean, it really feels like it was just all a storyline, that they were nowhere near that, because we learn now that they were already having problems. So there's a little bit of, so did you really want to have a child together? Like, I don't know. And Robyn's offer to marry, which that's very loaded, and all of it.
I don't know. I go back and forth on stuff like that. Cody, like I said, I could see Cody going like, this is so, I don't like saying this, but how many times in that family's history do you think Cody's gone, okay, we have problems. Let's have another baby.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You can't rule it out. I can't say it happened, but you can't rule it out. I could see Cody going, we've only raised one child. I have these intimate relationships with these other women, and we've bonded over raising more children. Maybe this will just fit. Here's the external solution to these internal struggles of incompatibility and a lack of care and a lack of foundational upkeep and perspective taking, all the things that you have to do in a marriage, at least periodically. And I don't know. It could be a storyline. It could not. I never want it to be, because I want to kind of go along with the ride. I don't like when I realize that things are kind of premeditated, because it just makes me feel kind of disappointed. I don't know. I think that I always think about, if they somehow had conceived a child, what would the show be like? It would just be so foundationally different in so many ways. But I just think that Cody's solution is, marriage is bad. What can you provide for me that I would really like? Because Cody likes to have little kids that will think he's hung the moon. He loves that. Tender. I can't say tender age kids without throwing up a little bit, but
that's his specialty.
Yeah,
like
tender age.
They're not chicken cutlets there, bro. Like, it's you don't need to.
So
it would be something to distract Mary from, their terrible marriage.
Yeah. She wouldn't be so needy towards him too. Like a baby would split her focus. But I really don't think, maybe Mary considered it, but I just feel like Mary was so in such a different place in her mind. I don't think she was ever going to do that. I don't think it was ever close to anything for her. And the more she waited, the more Leon was halfway out the door.
You go back to the Mexico trip for their anniversary, and she was already shutting it down. I just think she felt like, I don't want to. And And like, God bless her. She's like, I don't want to go through that. I don't want to.
Yeah.
Start over.
I don't. Yeah, and I don't want to try procedures that and all the things I would need to do, and those are wonderful things to do if that makes sense for your family. But like, I don't want to go through it and be just heartbroken again if this doesn't happen. Like, I get it. I think she really, without wanting to say it either for Cody or for the television show or both, just didn't want to ever, because Mary's not good at definitive answers to things. Have you noticed this?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Mary kind of wants to go, well, and wait for someone else to finish the thought so she doesn't have to.
Yeah.
And I think she just kind of wanted Cody to be the one to shut the door on it. And it's one of those things, well, until he did. And then she went, oh, wow, okay, I didn't like that. You know, which happens. That happens, to be fair.
I think it happens next week. Yeah.
Wait, so how did this end? I can't remember. How did they end this conversation?
It just kind of was left hanging there. And then I believe next week, I think they have a discussion, or maybe the week after, where Cody just says he shuts it down.
Yeah.
And he wants to, move on. And then, but then she seems hurt. It's like,
Is that the one where she says she was going to tell him that she wanted to do it? I know that happens at some point, but I don't remember when.
Neither one of them wants to be the bad guy. And that's why they both stayed together for so long, that it was just ridiculous. Neither one of them would break up with each other.
They are so alike, though.
Mm.
Like, and they're maybe not their best qualities, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, I think she was just looking for something to be closer to him with. I feel like a lot of why she hemmed and hawed was that this was a way in which he was paying attention to her. Like
good point.
He was like, they were going to appointments together. They were doing stuff together.
Spending time.
He's never around her. He's never investing any time and energy in her these days. So I felt like she kept kind of dragging it on because I don't think she really wanted to have a kid, but she liked the closeness, and that maybe in the end, when he like shut it down, it was almost hurt. She was like, oh, then this is ending too. This connection that we have, because we don't have anything else. Leon's going off to college. What will I have with you?
Just a house with 7 craft rooms and a wet bar.
And the wet bar. Yeah.
I hope it was all worth it, Mary.
She's doing great. Are you kidding me? If my kids were launched and I had Mary's life, I would be the happiest son of a bitch on the planet. Are you kidding me? I have my own haunted inn. I have my best friend.
You got a new boyfriend.
I've got a boyfriend who definitely knows how to change the oil in my car. Like, it's great.
Yeah.
And I'm hammered all the time. It's perfect.
Yeah, she's having the last laugh here.
Yes,
definitely.
Yes.
Oh, she's making that downline money too.
Oh yeah. Lululemon money. No, I always say Lululemon. LuLaRoe. Sorry, LuLaRoe.
Probably both.
Yeah.
Well, this was quite an episode.
Yes, this was.
I'm so glad you could be here for this very special episode.
Thank you.
It was great. This was a lot of fun.
You are welcome to come back anytime, any episode.
So
tell us.
Not.
Of course you are. Yes.
No, you're very fun and funny and insightful. We love it. So tell everybody about your podcast and, where they can find
how
you
they
and all that.
can sign you up on Patreon and all that. That's what I'm going to be doing.
Oh, well, okay. If you like me on this podcast, I hope you like me on my podcast, because they're not the same thing. So my podcast is called The Sister Wives Professor, and I do recaps and reactions and kind of do nonverbal communication analyses. It's not super dry. I don't think you would say. Like, I do try to be funny. I do try to be fun with it, but I also try to give context, good or bad. So if I think, because sometimes I think Cody, for example, or Mary make in the moment pretty good parenting decisions, and I'll kind of unpack why. And if they don't, I talk about how I don't. And I don't really play favorites on the show, although I do make fun of Cody's shirts a lot because they just bring me no end of joy. So it's the Sister Wives Professor. It's streaming everywhere. I'm also on Facebook. And I do have a Patreon, patreon.com/the Sister Wives Professor, where I do Sister Wives, like I said, Sister Wives deep dives. I've done ones on why I think Christine and Janelle blame different people for the dissolution of the Brown family. I just did one, the first in a series on Robyn's evolution. And there are tiers where I also do in-depth analyses of shows like Welcome to Plathville, I'm doing Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, which I'm just absolutely obsessed with. I'd never seen it before. It's incredible. I also have some people there's a certain tier where you can request stuff, but I make the custom podcast available to everyone with permission. And so I just did a show called MILF Manor.
Oh my gosh.
And I know, but really, it might be my favorite podcast I've ever done because
I saw a couple episodes. It's fascinating.
Wow.
It gets into like how we stigmatize older women for being sexually active, how like the age difference is different, and just this weird conflation of parenting and sexuality and all this kind of ick taboos. It was fascinating, and also it's just nuts. And I also did like Girls Next Door. I do all kinds of stuff, and I'm always coming up with ways for new content. But yeah, just are
you going to do Vanderpump Rules?
Yeah. How much time do I have left?
Because Brooke doesn't watch the show, and I've watched the show, and then I stopped watching it. And then when Scandival happened, I'm like, I got to get back on it. And I have no one to talk to about this. I talk to myself mainly, and talk to myself about my own theories.
I have to tell you, I have a colleague at work. She didn't consent to me saying her name, so I won't yet. But she has been on me ever since the podcast launched. And because she's a Vanderpump Rules fan, I've never seen it. And she's like, we need to do a podcast together, and we'll be the Vanderpump professors, and it's going to be huge. And I said, yeah, let me just, right after I reseal the driveway, I'll get right on it. And,
I'll be your first guest, and with a therapist. That show is utterly fascinating with the characters and the people. And that brought up when we were talking earlier about all the vitriol that Robyn gets. That is a great example of that scandal where people were just like barraging Tom Sandoval and the restaurant and everything. And you're just like, he didn't kill a man. Yes, his actions were not great, and I'm not for him, and I'm not co-signing that behavior, but he is not a murderer. And we are treating him like he is a monster. I just find people who go and do that just fascinating myself, because I will only write positive reviews. If I don't like something, I just move right along. I'm not going to disparage it. It's art. It's a perception. It's a belief, and
that's
unless
great.
You offend me in something, and even
me one.
Wish everyone felt that way.
Yeah, but I mean, I just...
Can you imagine?
If we lived in a world... Well, then that would be like a cult if we were all like so nice and 5 stars with each other. But at the same time, I would never, ever, ever troll someone. It's just why? How does that help them in any way, shape, or form? Telling them
I'm going to suggest both of you. I would love to have you both on my podcast, and we should do a free form where we just talk about the ethics and morality of sort of group mentality, stigmatizing people on reality television. I think that would be really cool. And I think you both would have insights that I don't, obviously. And I think that'd be really fun. Not to make anybody feel bad about what they do, but it'd just be interesting to talk about like where does the impulse come from? Rather, maybe maybe not the morality, but like what drives us to do this? Because I don't know. I don't have the tools to really unpack that. So.
No, I think that's great, because I think there's different levels of it. There's the people that troll you that say just awful things to people. And then there's a lot of like, someone's Facebook group or something where people are just asking questions. And I think that's very different when you're like, I wonder why so-and-so is doing that. Or, this person frustrates me so much. That's very different than you must die. Everybody can't go to your restaurant. It's like, what? You just destroy a business?
Yeah.
Because you don't like something he did?
Yeah. So with Sister Wives too, the weird speculation of inappropriate dynamics and stuff that's just kind of beyond the pale, I think. But
yeah. Anyway, to be a reality star, you really do sell your soul to the devil. You do.
I thought I could never do it. I get upset when we get a bad review, and I'm like,
we can't handle our bad reviews.
I don't want to do this anymore.
I don't even know if I want to have a podcast. Is what I was gonna say.
It's because you're like, this is a free, I'm giving this to you for free. If you don't like it, then just turn it off. But you have to like go and like say that we're misinformed. We don't know anything. It's like, that's a stretch.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, I have a very thin skin. I could never be on reality TV or TV at all, probably.
Yes.
So
I love your podcast, and I'm
Oh,
grateful.
thank you.
I'm very lucky to be on it, so thank you for your time.
Well, we so appreciate you
very
being
sweet.
here. This is great. So,
yes, and I hope we get together. We will
Yes.
collaborate again for sure.
absolutely.
There's
All
no
right.
shortage of topics. So anyway, thank you, Dr. Adams, so much for joining us. And we just want to remind everybody out there that if you like our podcast, we would appreciate it if you would subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. You don't have to write anything if you don't want to. But if you don't enjoy the podcast, just turn it off.
Yes.
You don't need to come and tell us,
You hate us. You hate my voice.
how terrible we are,
Yes.
Let's all strive for a little civility here. So you can find us also on social media. We're on TikTok and Instagram at PsychLegalPop. And can't wait for the next
Yeah.
Sister Wives.
Yes.
Never know what you're going to get.
Yeah. Thank you so
thank
much,
you,
Dr. Adam. It's
Thank
been
you.
awesome. Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
This message comes from Jackson. Taxes aren't something you can only think about once a year. With investments, planning for tax day is year-round. Fortunately, Jackson offers tax-efficient products. Visit jackson.com for more information on how our products can make your tax bill a little bit less painful. Jackson is short for Jackson Financial Incorporated, Jackson National Life Insurance Company, Lansing, Michigan, and Jackson National Life Insurance Company of New York, Purchase, New York.